Welcome back to the Garden with Joe and Holly radio show. Happy that you have joined us today. Hey, it's time for your garden questions and our garden answers. If you got a question, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or you can give us a call toll free, coast to coast at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. We'll see what we can get through to the top of the hour, Holly. I'll start with this one for you. I have a number of large zucchinis that grew faster than I thought they would. Besides composting them, any suggestions on what I could do? I prefer mine to be smaller and more tender. These, I would assume, are very woody, being as large as they are.
Right. So, what you can do is you could roast them. I know that they could still be a little bit woody, but if you scoop out the seeds and roast them,
you mean like split it in half and scoop it out like a canoe?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you could chop them into smaller pieces, coat them in olive oil and whatever seasonings you like, and then roast them in the oven at about 400 degrees until they're fork tender, like super fork tender, which would probably take like 30 minutes.
Like you would a pumpkin.
Right.
Okay.
That could help. Also,
well,
you can make zucchini relish.
Zucchini is kind of like the mushroom of the garden. It will absorb whatever flavor you add to it.
But this will help that roasting.
Break it down.
Will help break it down.
Break it down.
Otherwise, zucchini relish is an option. You could also do like refrigerator zucchini pickles. I don't recommend canning zucchini pickles because they get super mushy, but you could do like a refrigerator zucchini pickle. So those are some options.
Zucchini pie.
Yeah, you could do the pie.
Now, how do you do zucchini pie? You're going to make an apple pie. You get all the ingredients you need for an apple pie except for the apples. You substitute the apples with peeled, thinly chopped or cut zucchini, de-seeded, and nobody will know the difference. It is absolutely a duplicate and works really, really well in that aspect. So yeah, you really don't want to you don't want to compost them if you don't want to. There's other options to do such. What is it whenever you make noodles out of it? What do you call that?
Zucchini noodles, zoodles.
Zoodles. If you did that thin enough, I think that would work on a very large, because you're breaking it down so thin that it would be just fine. You wouldn't get that woodiness necessarily.
Right. So
I see on social media people going to pick your own place for apples, pumpkins, etc. I recently moved to a new city. How do I find the location that would have that for me in my area?
Sure. So you can go to pickyourown.org. That is a website where you can search for pick your own everything. It can be anything from apples to pumpkins to
lavender.
To lavender to berries to
but also seasonal now. Keep in mind.
Seasonal. Yeah. Right. That's what I'm saying. So this is something that you might want to utilize, year round, but they do have that information there. And then as far as finding out, what kind of extras that they have at that place, because I know sometimes you see these social media things and they have like this backdrop of pumpkins you can take a picture in front of, or the fancy stuff. If you go then to their website, it'll show you typically like whatever, it's Joey's Pumpkin Farm. It'll show you what they have.
I have a pumpkin farm now.
Do they have hay rides? Do they have a corn maze? Do they have that thing?
And what does it cost?
Yeah,
here's the other thing.
Yeah,
because there can be one really fancy one that literally is like $30 a kid, but 10 miles down the road, there's a more relaxed farm atmosphere for like half the price or a third of the price.
Right, because there's
no joke.
Where there's like, these massive hay rides that go on forever and ever. And then there's like, Uncle Bob down the road, like Joey mentioned.
Who markets to the normal everyday consumer, or the other one where they know the people, and these people, they will pay whatever it costs to make sure their kid has a wonderful fall experience. And that's what that farm is catering to, those people.
Right. So there are different levels, and maybe where you live, you don't have those options, and that's something you can figure out too. Or you can read and you're like, okay, so the one that's like 10 minutes closer to me is overdone. But then if I drive just 10 minutes more, I'm going to find something a little bit better and more my speed. So sometimes you want to look into that as well. And also like maybe there's one closer to a larger city And then there's one that's further away, and it could be a different experience. So
And Holly and I do not have children. And if you have children, you probably already know this little tip. But if you're an aunt and uncle, or you're going to take somebody you know, that if you think it's going to take 2 hours, budget for 4.
Right.
Double it up.
Right. Especially just sometimes getting them, wrangled up and put into the car takes.
And there's going to be
minutes.
lines.
Yeah, lines.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Let's see here. I do not have much storage room for my tomato cages and garden tools, etc. I don't want to buy something. I have a large tarp. Can I just place them under the tarp for winter and use some random logs to secure it to the ground?
I don't see why not.
Well, yes, that works, but also depends on if you are part of an HOA or there's certain aesthetics in which you have to make look nice. Otherwise, yeah, secure it.
I would,
but here, make sure you secure it down, because that is a great habitat for raccoons, possums,
Yeah.
anything in the winter that needs somewhere to get out of the cold. That's a great little
even
house.
maybe consider tying it with some twine or
Yeah.
something. I would take the garden tools, whatever they are, if you can bring them inside the house, if they're like clippers or snips or something.
Wooden handles,
Right.
going to rot.
Yeah, but if it's something that maybe you really just don't have room for, you could take some cooking oil and put that on something that's mild, like a canola, something that's not very scented, and you can put that on the blades or like whatever it may be to help kind of preserve it over winter.
And foxes, that would be a good little place based on how much you have it heaved up. So.
But I like the creativity because you kind of have to work with what you have. I would also maybe ask around or look for what are called the buy nothing groups on Facebook. You may be able to find something to store certain things in. I'm not really sure. People are getting rid of certain things this time of year, garden bins or whatever. So that could be an option as well.
2 55-gallon plastic drums. Put the tools in the one, and then invert the other one on top, and then seal it up with tape and let it sit there.
Right, and the person that asked this question was concerned a little bit about wind. So if you do something like a drum, you want to make sure it's not going to roll away somehow.
Well, I had tools, and now everything's gone.
Right.
Well, that being said, we are out of time, Holly, and we thank you for yours. It's time for the portion of the program where we discuss what we learned today. And I learned from our guest, Danielle Martin from Wicked Awesome Gardening, that you want to survey your property for a year if you're wanting to turn it into a homestead, not just, look at it, what I was always told, look at it during the winter so you can see where the low spots is and the snow buildup. So that was...
I learned that goats apparently have more than one baby at a time.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
They're called kids.
I know they're called kids. I just didn't. I just thought, one goat, one baby, like a human.
Cows can have, have multiple babies. Cows have multiple. Deer have multiple babies.
That's true.
Why is it the goats just have one baby and that's it?
I don't really like
Shut
goats.
it down. That's it. We
I
got
really
one.
don't like goats, so I don't really like to know goat facts.
All right. Well, what we learned today is brought to you by Honey Bee Healthy.
Honeybeehealthy.com is serious about the business of bees and helping beekeepers maintain healthy and thriving hives. Whether you're a professional beekeeper or a bee hobbyist, we've got the products to help you maintain a healthy hive. Visit honeybeehealthy.com. They are all made in the USA.